Some stories are exciting and some are hard to tell. Not every story from San Pedro Fish Market is a big tray seafood or a wild competition. During COVID, we captured some of the hardest moments: the quiet, the uncertainty, even the day the giant hospital ship pulled into the harbor. Most restaurants didn't film those moments, but we did. Today, I'll share what that time was like, really like behind the scenes.
Price tag's still on there. And the name brand of the shirt.
It's funny in a weird way. This was such a terrible time in the country, the pandemic, that I had actually forgotten we filmed all this. And as we were working with our media partners at Cali Barbecue Media, Sean Walchef from there said, "Hey, I was watching your Kings of Fish episodes, and you got an entire season about COVID and the pandemic and what all of us restaurant people had to deal with." And I'm like, "I did? Man, I blocked that right out of my memory." But you're right, we did film all that. And we thought it was important to capture because it was such a big deal, and such an influential time, but it's changed the country in so many ways, and especially in LA, where it was really difficult to deal with. And we thought we should try to capture some of this and hold on to it while it's happening, because it's so monumental, I think is the word I'm looking for. So that's what we did. We captured what it was like dealing with it, the dangers that we had to face, the threats. In a weird way, we suffered a lot. There was a lot of losses. We had two smaller concepts called San Pedro Fish Market Grill. We actually had three. We opened two new ones based on one of the ones that we had been experimenting with for some time. And they just, we opened these things up. We're trying to figure out what to do with them. And then when the pandemic hit and there was closures, they were just in a nosedive that we couldn't pull them out of. So we had to close that concept, which is a hard decision to make. It took a long time. And we just settled the last of the issues with the landlord in one of those locations about a month ago. So it's like 5, 6, 7 years of dealing with torture. But the interesting part was our San Pedro locations, San Pedro Fish Market and Krusty Krab, most of their seating was outside. And so as things started to loosen up a little bit, and it was okay to be outside as long as you were, social distancing, we managed to actually do okay. It took some time. We did have some pretty traumatic situations and sales dropping. But our goal was, listen, we know we can't have people in the door, but we do have a lot of employees that still work for us, and they're scared, and they need help. And we want to figure out what we could do to help them. If you remember, it was also the time of the great toilet paper shortage of 2020 through whenever that ended. So what you would see is one of our core values is family, and we hold family as community being the same, not to mention our customers and our employees. So this was an opportunity for us to step up and try to help as much as we could and give back on a lot of our success. So a couple of things we did. We ordered as much food as we could, and we took the food that we already had. It wasn't just fish, it was also, our suppliers didn't have anyone to buy product. So some of our suppliers would have beef and carnitas and pork and chicken, and we would buy a couple pallets and let our employees take stuff home so they could feed their families. That was one thing we did. We ordered as much toilet paper as we could, and we gave that away as much as we could to help people too. It seems dumb, but it was a scarce resource at the time. The other thing we came up with was, how do we take care? So that took care of helped to take care of our employees, but we had vendors that we wanted to make sure we can continue to pay. We had a customer base, and we thought, here's an idea. What if we can create an affordable version of our world famous shrimp tray, and that could feed a family of 4, and we price it under $20, and I think we came up with $19.99, and it was shrimp, veggies, bell pepper, tomato, onions, potatoes, and a loaf of garlic bread. We did, and we could price it at $19.99. There's no profit built into that, but it was enough to pay the employees and pay for the food for the most part. It was a little tight. But the idea was that we could do that. We'll set up third-party delivery, which we hadn't done before. It really wasn't possible because of parking restrictions and crowds in San Pedro Fish. If you were going to order third-party delivery from San Pedro Fish, there's no way that the delivery driver could get closer than 300 yards to pick it up because of the crowds we were drawing in. But this was an opportunity to test that. So we turned on Grubhub, programmed everything into the menu, and we highlighted this 1999 shrimp tray, and we got local media to help us promote it. And what happened next was pretty magical. Tons and tons of people were ordering this from our locations. And what I thought was really interesting is the locals in our hometown, San Pedro, who had never visited us before because they didn't want to deal with those crowds, could finally order our food and taste it at home. So I had all these people I grew up with, I knew their families, telling us, hey, this stuff's really good. No wonder you have such long lines. So that was kind of fun that we actually got to give our local community a taste of foods that they didn't want to wait in line for, that they can get delivered to their house. The other thing we did was we did everything we could to benefit first responders. So we reached out to different organizations, local organizations, usually political offices like our city council in both areas, and the mayor and the city hall. So what can we do to donate food to first responders? They're on the ground. They're working in the hospitals. They're working in ambulances, and the paramedics and the police and whoever else is like on the ground when they can't stay home. They have to be out there helping. And we donated, I can't remember how much, but it was thousands and thousands and thousands of trays of food to first responders, which was really not something, we didn't do it for PR. We really did it to be a good member of the community and trying to do our part. And it was a huge success. We were able to feed a lot of people, and we did end up getting a lot of PR out of it, but that really wasn't the purpose of it. I think one of my funnest memories, outside of the tragedy part of it, what I thought was pretty cool is we also had Mother's Day. Mother's Day is the busiest day of the year for us. We would bring in sometimes 40,000 people on a weekend, if not more, but none of them could leave and come visit us. So we created a Mother's Day tray that was offered through third-party delivery. And we was like, we'll do a thing of champagne, we'll do the food, we'll do this whole thing. And we were able to get the local news, I think it was KTLA, had me on live from the restaurant. So we had to set up a camera, and I had to set up the trays, and we did the whole thing, and I had to put a microphone and actually talk remotely to the studio about this Mother's Day tray. We didn't know if it was going to work. We didn't know if anyone was going to watch it. We didn't know if anyone cared. But it turned out everyone's home, so everyone's watching TV. And we just said, well, we use so-and-so's phone number to take the orders in case anything comes in. And it just crashed the system. So many phone calls came in ordering this tray. And I can't remember how we priced it. It was very reasonably priced. It was a great way to celebrate Mom. You could either have it delivered or pick it up. And it was insane how many orders we had. And I can't remember the number, but it was just like forever lines buying this Mother's Day tray. We did something similar for Father's Day, did something similar for 4th of July weekend. And we just kept learning how to innovate and use these new third-party technologies, integrate them in with our point of sale where we could, and we got really inventive with our social media, and we captured a whole bunch of it on Kings of Fish, so you can watch it. On the cool part, as I mentioned also in the intro, is like how the hospital ship came into the port of LA, and we just happened to have a rooftop view of this ship coming in, which we were able to capture, which was really cool to see it. It was, I don't know what the word is. It was like, there was just a silence, just quiet silence. There's nobody out. Nobody can go out because of COVID. We're in the restaurants because we're working and considered essential to provide food for people. But to see this giant hospital ship that just dwarfed our village and San Pedro Fish Market as it went down the harbor was really intense. And then, there's a tragic part of it. Thanksgiving of 2020, we're, I don't know how many months, 6-7 months into COVID, we get the news that Tommy Sr., our founder, lost his daughter. And, they found her on Thanksgiving Day. We lost her to COVID. And then a few months later, following, I think, August, we lost his son, Tommy Jr. So there was a lot of tragedy to that. And, there were big parts of our family and our business and Kings of Fish and just, it's a terrible time in that way for what we lost. And those weren't the only two people we lost. There was a lot of friends and family, employees that we lost during that tragic time. So, it was, there's some really terrible memories. But what we did was we did what we could to memorialize those we lost. That's what season 1 on Amazon Prime for Kings of Fish was really meant for Tommy Jr., Tiffany as well. And it was also an opportunity for us to be a bigger part of the community in ways we couldn't in the past. And I think it really helped us to appreciate what we had as a family business and also the history, because the business was founded by my grandfather with my dad and Tommy Sr., his best friend and my uncle, as well as my aunts worked there and a lot of family members. And all of them passed away on the Ungaro side, like my dad, my grandfather, both his sisters. So there's always been these sort of turning points for us where we're like, had to stop and say, what are we doing? They've sacrificed so much to build this business for us. And I think in some ways it toughened us up, made us resilient. But when it came down to having to deal with a global pandemic and all those threats, I think the values they instilled in us about hard work and innovation and not giving up was really what kept us not only alive, but helped us to a little more than survive. It helped us thrive. And so at the end of it, we actually did pretty well. We were able to pull through. Henry was out there on the tables, unbolting them from the deck and separating them and putting plastic dividers between them. And then, the other interesting part about that was we were so busy for so many years that we never had the opportunity to really talk to customers and see what is it that you like and why are you coming in to visit us. Because we just had these 200-yard long lines and, just rush them in, and we're just dealing with like chaos all the time. Well, during COVID, you can only allow 6 people in at a time. So our 1 to 200-yard long lines became like 3 to 400. I mean, it was like you couldn't see the end of the line. And because we could only allow 6 in at a time, it actually opened the opportunity to ask, why are you visiting us today? What is it you're here for? Where would you prefer to be? Did you want whole fish? Did you want to go buy a tray? Did you want crab? Were you looking for fish and chips? And it was really interesting to hear the stories of people like, oh, I didn't know I could go pick out my own fish and have it cooked, because usually I just follow this giant crowd and whatever line I end up in, I order from that particular menu. So it was like, wow, there's a lot of people coming in here that didn't even understand how our system worked. So it opened up the place for us to start to really refine and improve the way we run the business, look at what worked, what didn't, and really get probably for the first time ever, a really accurate feed of what our customers were looking for, what they expected, what they wanted, and how we can improve and make it better. And that's what we did as we design and build our Monterey location, as we refined and improved what we were doing in Long Beach. And what we'll do moving forward is all based on the input we got from thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of customers that we had a chance to actually have one-on-one conversations with because of the speed at which we could let them in. It was so significantly reduced that we got to talk to them. So, well, that's it for now. That's the pandemic story. You can learn all about it by watching season 7 of Kings of Fish, which you'll find on the Kings of Fish page on YouTube. Or you can just scan through any of our social media for all episodes. That's it for now. Until next time. Thanks. Thanks for listening to The Fish Factor. I'm Mike Ungaro. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and you can also check out all the episodes of Kings of Fish right here. You can learn more about our restaurants by going to our website, sanpedrofish.com, or you can follow us on our social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, etc., at San Pedro Fish, or the TV show at Kings of Fish.